Hello, hope you're doing well. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Smite is a tough game. It challenges you to juggle 100 things at once, mastering unique characters with their abilities, passives, and playstyles, understanding items and predicting what your enemy will buy, navigating maps, jungle camps, objectives, and roles. You get the point. There's a lot, and I mean a lot, to learn. The developers have coined the phrase Smite 1 but strictly better, and they were not joking. Smite 2 is a Jurassic improvement over its predecessor. And with Smite 2 releasing into open free-to-play beta, I thought I would make this video to teach you absolutely everything you need to know before jumping into Smite 2. This guide is packed, so I've divided it into chapters for easy reference. Also, I upload daily Smite content, including guides on builds, gods, roles, and more that you might find helpful, so make sure to check those out and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on future guides. Also, check out my Discord server if you have any questions or want to join a friendly, toxic-free Smite community. With that out of the way, welcome to my complete Smite 2 Beginner's Guide. Let's start with the basics. What is Smite 2? Smite 2 is a MOBA, or Multiplayer Online Battle Arena. In this game, you and your team will select a character from an ever-growing and diverse cast of gods and mythical figures, each with their own unique abilities and playstyles. Your goal? Work together to outplay the enemy team and secure victory through superior strategy, skill, and teamwork. Smite 2 offers several game modes to suit different playstyles and levels of competitiveness. Let's break them down. Arena is Smite 2's most casual and action-packed mode. It places two teams of 5 players into a massive coliseum to battle it out in a fast-paced deathmatch. Your objective is to reduce the enemy team's tickets to 0 by defeating enemy gods, clearing minions, and controlling key areas of the map. Respawns are quick, and the focus is on constant team fights and skirmishes rather than large objectives. It's a great mode for beginners to practice mechanics, or for experienced players to enjoy stress-free matches. Arena offers a straightforward introduction to Smite's combat while being incredibly fun and chaotic. Joust is a 3v3 mode that takes place on a smaller map with a single lane and jungle areas on either side. The mode emphasizes tighter team coordination and objective control, making it a step up in complexity from Arena. The main goal in Joust is to push through the enemy's defenses, taking out their towers, phoenixes, and ultimately their titan. Jungle camps add an additional layer of strategy, as securing buffs can give your team an edge. The smaller team sizes and map make this mode great for practicing communication and learning how to play around objectives without the intensity of a full Conquest match. Duel is a pure 1v1 experience. It's just you versus a single opponent, battling it out on a smaller map to prove who's a better player. The absence of teammates means you're solely responsible for every decision, from farming efficiently to outmaneuvering your opponent in combat. The map's design encourages constant engagement, with buffs and minions being key to gaining the upper hand. Duel is the ultimate test of an individual's skills. It's intense, unforgiving, and a great way to sharpen your abilities. Assault offers a unique twist by randomly assigning gods to each player, placing the focus on adaptability and teamwork. Played on a single lane map, this mode eliminates the jungle entirely, concentrating the action all in one area. Because your god is chosen randomly, you might find yourself outside of your comfort zone, but don't worry, that's part of the fun. It's all about working with what you've got, supporting your team, and pushing as a group to take down the enemy's tower, phoenix, and titan. Assault is great for learning gods you wouldn't normally play, and for developing flexibility in your playstyle. While all of these modes are exciting and offer something unique, Smite 2's flagship mode is Conquest. This is the game's most competitive and strategic mode, 5v5 battle on a sprawling map with multiple lanes, a jungle, and key objectives. Conquest is the heart of Smite 2 and will be the main focus of this guide. Now, Conquest is much more complicated when compared to the other modes, so we have a couple of basics to go over before we dive into Conquest. If you have any questions as we go, feel free to drop them in the comments or check out my channel where I've uploaded daily Smite content, including guides and gameplay videos. Chances are I've already covered a topic that can help you out. Now that we've covered the game modes, let's dive into the foundation of Smite 2, its characters. Smite 2 boasts a massive and diverse roster of gods and other deities, with many new characters being released every month. This means you're bound to find one or several that perfectly fit your playstyle, whether you prefer high damage assassins, supportive healers, or tanky frontliners. Regardless of the character you choose, there are a few universal elements you need to understand. Your health bar represents how much damage you can take. If it hits 0, you die. But don't worry, you'll respawn after a short cooldown and rejoin the action. Mana, on the other hand, is the resource you'll use to cast abilities. If you run out of mana, you won't be able to use abilities until it's restored. You'll passively regenerate both health and mana over time, but potions can speed up the process. Alternatively, you can return to base and fully restore your resources. Alongside health and mana, characters have access to multiple unique traits and abilities to aid them in battle, the most basic of which is conveniently called a basic attack, also referred to as an auto attack. These attacks have no cooldown and do not take any mana to use, meaning you can use them very consistently. As the name suggests, these are the most basic of attacks. Think of the swing of a sword or shooting of an arrow. By default, they only hit one target unless specifically stated otherwise. Alongside basic attacks, every character, with some exceptions, have 4 unique abilities, 3 regular abilities, and 1 ultimate. Abilities are versatile tools that deal damage, provide utility, or apply crowd control, among other things. Ultimates are the most powerful of these abilities in a character's kit, often capable of turning the tide of a fight. Both regular abilities and ultimates cost mana to use and go on cooldown after being cast, meaning you'll need to wait for a short period of time before you can use them again. Managing your mana and ability cooldowns effectively is key to success. Alongside abilities, each character also has a passive trait that enhances their kit. Passives often provide a stat boost or unique effect without requiring mana or any button press. For example, Loki's passive, deal bonus damage when attacking an enemy from behind. Understanding your passive is key to maximizing your character's effectiveness. Every Conquest match starts with your character at level 1, with access to only one of your abilities. As you earn experience by defeating enemies or clearing objectives, you'll level up, unlocking new abilities and improving your stats. Each ability can be leveled up 5 times, and at level 20 your character will reach their maximum power with fully upgraded stats and abilities. These mechanics are the foundation of every Smite 2 match. Mastering your character's abilities, managing your health and mana, and leveling up strategically are critical skills to succeed on the battlefield. If this feels like a lot to take in, don't worry, learning these basics is part of the journey. Feel free to pause the video and save it for later if you need to revisit anything. And as always, feel free to join my Discord server. It's a great place to get direct help, find non-toxic teammates, or just chat with the Smite community. With that covered, let's move on to the next key aspect of Smite 2, its items. Understanding items is crucial for success in Smite 2. Let's break down the item system so you can make informed choices that suit your characters and playstyles. Items in Smite 2 can be divided into 3 main categories: consumables, relics, and core items. Starting with consumables, you have 2 slots, which are reserved for items that are consumed upon use and need to be repurchased before further use. These include potions. Health and mana potions restore their respective resources over time. You can carry up to 3 of each, with each type occupying 1 consumable slot. Wards grant vision in the area where they're placed, functioning like motion sensors to track enemy movement. Regular wards cover a small area and last for a limited time, while sentry wards cover a larger area and can detect and destroy enemy wards. Moving on to relics. Relics function like extra abilities. You'll only have 1 relic slot and any relic you buy is free. Choose wisely, as relics cannot be changed during the match. Relics have long cooldowns but provide powerful utility, such as crowd control immunity or an instant teleport. Up next, you have your core items. You have 7 core item slots, including 1 specifically for a starter item. Starter items are crucial early game tools that provide strong benefits and can later be upgraded into powerful late game items at a low cost. Make sure to purchase 1 every match. The remaining 6 slots can be filled with items from an expansive selection. These items offer various stats and effects tailored to your character's role and playstyle. Core items in Smite 2 can be further divided into passive and active items. Passive items provide constant stat boosts or effects that activate automatically based on in-game conditions. For example, Hydra's Lament increases the damage of a basic attack after using an ability. Active items offer powerful effects that you can activate manually using a keybind, similar to relics. For example, Bloodforge grants you a shield when activated. Note that only 3 of your 6 core items can have active effects, so balance your build carefully. While active items provide very powerful effects, they go on cooldown after use, meaning you'll regularly only be able to use them once per fight. Passive items, on the other hand, will provide large amount of stats for the remainder of the game. A healthy mix of both is key to optimizing your performance. With all of that out of the way, let's go over all of the stats and what they do so you can be better informed on what it is you should be buying. I'm kind of going to speed run through this, so feel free to pause if needed. Strength increases your damage, intelligence increases your damage, attack speed speeds up basic attacks, lifesteal heals you for a portion of the damage dealt to enemies, critical strike chance increases the likelihood of dealing critical hits with basic attacks, physical protection reduces incoming physical damage, magical protection reduces incoming magical damage. Penetration will cut through both physical and magical protections. Health increases your total health pool, health regen speeds up passive health recovery, mana increases your total mana pool, and mana regen speeds up passive mana recovery. Healing reduction will reduce the healing received by enemies you hit, and finally cooldown reduction will decrease the time it takes for your abilities to become available again. Most items will combine multiple stats alongside a passive or active effect. A good build will balance several of these stats to suit your character's needs. Later on in the video, we're going to go over which of these stats you should be looking to buy depending on what character you are playing. But before that, I have to go over something. Remember earlier when I listed the stats and both intelligence and strength increase your damage? Well, characters in Smite 2 scale with either strength or intelligence, and some hybrid characters benefit from both. Your character icon will indicate their damage type. A sword will mean physical damage and a circle for magical damage. I want to stress that this is your character's damage type and not your character's scaling. These two are completely different. Just because a character's abilities scale using strength does not mean that they're going to deal physical damage. Once again, while a character's abilities may scale using strength or intelligence, or in some cases both, their damage type will always be consistent as either magical damage or physical damage, and that will not change, regardless of what you build. And one more thing worth mentioning, basic attacks will scale using 100% of strength and 20% of intelligence, meaning strength-focused builds will enhance auto-attack damage significantly when compared to an intelligence-focused build. With all of Smite 2's characters being able to buy any item offered in the item shop, it might be harder for newer players to understand what they should be building. The easiest way for you to find out whether your character scales off of intelligence or strength would be looking at the character page in the main menu. Here you will find just about anything you need to know about the character, including which scaling they use, and again, in some cases, hybrid characters like Mordred or Neith will use both. In some cases, this could be extremely confusing and complicated, but I do have a strength versus intelligence guide up on my YouTube channel that might help with this. In that video, I cover which characters should be building intelligence and which should be building strength in depth, so make sure to check it out after you're done with this video if that's something you're interested in. Furthermore, my individual character guides will go over just about everything you need to know before playing the character to include some good builds and build recommendations, so feel free to use any of these resources in your journey to conquer the battleground of the gods. If you're brand new, Smite 2 offers pre-made builds that automatically purchase items for you when you return to base. These builds are great starting points for beginners, allowing you to focus on learning the game without worrying about itemization. Experienced players can switch to manual builds to customize their item builds further later on. I know this section has covered a lot, but understanding items is essential to improving in Smite 2. If you have any questions or need more guidance, drop a comment or join my Discord server for direct help, where me or other friendly community members will help you out with just about anything you need, to include builds, strategies, tips, or if you just need some friendly, non-toxic people to play Smite with, it's also the right place for you. So go ahead and click that link down in the description to join our Discord server. Remember, experimenting with builds and learning over time is part of the fun. Stick with it and you'll see yourself improve in no time. To succeed in Smite 2, it's important to understand the in-game UI, as it provides all the critical information you need during a match. Let's break it down from top to bottom. In the top left, you'll find your teammates, their levels, and the status of your ultimate abilities. This gives you a quick insight into whether your allies are ready to engage in teamfights or not. On the opposite side, you'll find the enemy's team's information, including their levels. This is useful for gauging how your team stacks up against the opposition. In between the two teams' display, you'll find the in-game timer, the total kills for each team, and the total team gold. These stats help you track the flow of the game and your team's overall progress. The bottom left is home to your item slots, which will show all of your items, providing a quick glance at your build during the match. This center cluster will show you everything you need to know about your character in-game. Your character portrait and their damage type, whether it's physical or magical, Above that, you'll find your kills, deaths, and assists. Then you'll see your health and mana bars, which are essential for monitoring your survivability and ability use. Directly underneath, your ability cooldowns and levels are displayed. Next, you'll find your relic slot, which shows its cooldown and if it's been used. The next two slots are your consumable slots. These will display any potions or wards you may have. If you have purchased any active items, they will appear next to your consumable, showing both their keybinds and cooldowns if they have already been used. And finally, on the bottom right, you'll see a snapshot of your current stats, including things like attack speed, intelligence, strength, etc. Arguably, the most important part of your UI is the minimap. This is your gateway to the entire battleground. It shows jungle camps, minion locations, enemy positions when revealed, your team's location, objectives like towers and phoenixes, and much more. Keep an eye on the minimap constantly. It's your best tool for staying aware of what's happening around you. The scoreboard will display detailed information about everybody's builds, kills, deaths, assists. This is vital for understanding both your team's and enemy's progression. The T screen has an MVP style of stats, highlighting top performers on both teams. You'll see top damage, top kills, top gold, and top mitigated damage. And finally, the death recap screen. After you die, the screen provides a breakdown of the damage you took leading to your death. This can help you understand and counter the enemy threats. Note that hovering over an item, ability, relic, or consumable will show you a description. Specifically, hovering over one of your abilities will show you not only what it does, but also the damage and effect numbers as well as what they scale off of, whether it be intelligence or strength. The ability screen will have even more details on your characters, their passives, and their abilities. With all this information, surely you're ready to dive right into your first Conquest map. Yes, but I never actually showed you how to get into a game. Very quickly, let's go over the game's systems. This is Smite 2's main screen, lobby screen, main lobby, home screen. I don't know what it's called, but this is the screen you'll be greeted with when you open the game. Starting off in the home tab and on the top right, you have your account name and level. Right under that, you have your in-game currency, followed by your social features. You can invite friends or add friends. Under that, you'll have any news or events coming up. And on the top left, you'll have quests that when completed will give you XP to level up. On the bottom right, you have your play button, followed by your change game mode button. In this screen, you can change the game mode that you're queuing for as well as your region. Above that, when queuing for Conquest, you can change your role preferences. Smite 2's preference system allows you to pick your roles from 1 through 5, with 1 being the one you strongly prefer. In this screen, you'll also get a couple of tips and tricks for each of the roles. And finally, you'll be able to do fill role, which basically automatically assigns you the role that is most needed for your team. Moving on to the next tab, we have the Gods tab. In this tab, you'll be able to see all current available gods and even upcoming gods. Clicking on a specific god will bring you over to their god page. In the overview section, you'll be able to see their lore and a little bit of information that will tell you the basics of the god. The ability page will allow you to see details on every single ability, as well as their aspect. And playing a god multiple times will allow you to level them up or ascend them, which will give you extra cosmetic rewards for playing the character. These could be viewed in the mastery page. By leveling up a character, you'll be able to get rewards like emotes, skins, borders, things of that nature. And finally, the loadout page is going to be where you will select which emotes, skins, and borders you have on your character. Moving on, you have your profile, where you'll be able to see your player level, customize your profile, match history, your ranked season, and finally your daily login rewards, where you will gain currency just for logging in every day. Now, admittedly, the profile section is a little bit bare bones, but the game just released into closed beta and this will be improved later on. And finally, you have the events tab, which will just highlight any events that might be currently active. Now that you know your way around both the interface and the game systems, let's dive deeper into Conquest. Conquest is Smite 2's flagship game mode, a 5v5 battle of strategy, teamwork, and skill that challenges you to work with your team to claim victory. Let's break it down in detail so you can fully understand its mechanics and dominate the battlefield. Before you queue up Conquest, you'll select your preferred roles such as mid, lane, jungle, or support. When you enter the match, the game will auto-assign you one of these roles based on your preferences and your team's needs. The system ensures that every player has a defined position on the map and eliminates confusion during the match. Once your role is assigned, you'll select your god. While gods aren't explicitly categorized into roles, certain ones perform better in specific roles. If you're a beginner, I'd highly suggest that you take a look at my character guides as I go over not only builds for the characters, how to play them, but also what roles they work in best. Now, the ultimate goal in Conquest is to destroy the enemy team's tower located in their base. However, getting there won't be easy. You'll need to take down key objectives along the way. Starting off with towers, each lane has 2 defensive towers that deal heavy damage to enemies in their range. They prioritize minions but will target gods if no minions are present. Towers can only be damaged by basic attacks. After the second tower in each lane is a phoenix. This is a stationary high damage objective that respawns after a short time if destroyed. Killing a phoenix additionally will buff all minion waves going up that lane. Once a phoenix is destroyed, you gain access to the Titan. A Titan is a massive high health boss that can be damaged by all forms of attacks but requires a coordinated effort to defeat. Pro tip, destroying multiple phoenixes weakens the Titan significantly, so don't rush it unless you're confident your team can secure the kill. The Conquest map is divided into 3 lanes, mid lane, solo lane, and duo lane, and a jungle that separates them. Each lane has distinct objective strategies and roles associated with it. In lanes, minions spawn every 30 seconds and march down each lane. Killing minions grants gold and experience, allowing you to level up and buy items. Protect your minions as they tank tower shots and help push the lane. The jungle is home to camps that provide buffs, gold, and experience. Securing these camps is essential for gaining an advantage. Buff camps include red, blue, and purple buffs. Picking these up can give you or your team a significant edge. XP camps grant golden experience to help you and your team level up faster. Buff camps grow stronger the more they are cleared, offering better effects over time. Keeping control of your jungle and denying the enemy theirs is crucial. Pro tip, invading the enemy jungle can deny them buffs and gold, giving your team a big advantage. Just be cautious, if caught out, you risk giving the enemy team a free kill. Each role in Conquest plays a unique and critical part in achieving victory. Mid lane is played by gods with high ability damage. The mid laner focuses on clearing waves and dealing burst damage in fights. Mid laners often rotate to other lanes to provide support. Solo laners are usually tankier in nature and play on the shorter side lane next to the fire giant. Solo laners focus on sustaining in fights and absorbing damage for the team. They also contribute to team fights later in the game. Located in the long lane, right next to the Gold Fury, also known as dual lane, ADCs rely on their basic attacks and scale heavily into the late game. They start weaker but become major damage dealers once they've built key items. Partnering with the ADC in the dual lane supports our tanky gods who protect their teammates, initiate fights, and absorb damage. They also help secure jungle objectives. Jungle is by far the most challenging role. Junglers roam the map, clearing camps, ganking lanes, and securing key objectives like Gold Fury and Fire Giant. They require high mobility and excellent map awareness. A typical Conquest match is divided into 3 distinct phases. The early game, which is about the first 12 minutes of the game, you'll focus on farming, clearing minions, and jungle camps to level up and buy items. Stick to your lane or jungle route, and look for opportunities to secure kills or help teammates. The mid game is usually from 12 minutes to 25 minutes in. Teams begin grouping up for objectives like towers and gold furies, a neutral objective that grants a significant gold boost to your team. Mid-game fights often determine which team gains control of the map. Late game is anything above 25 minutes. Team fights become the primary focus, securing the fire giant, a late game objective that provides a powerful buff to your entire team, making it easier to push lanes and destroy the Titan. Now, to cover these objectives a little bit more in detail, the Gold Fury is a powerful mid-game objective that provides gold to your entire team, and it requires 2 to 3 players to defeat. The Fire Giant is the most important late game objective. Defeating the Fire Giant grants a buff that increases damage output and survivability, giving your team a massive advantage in fights and objective pushes. Up next, I wanted to give you a couple of tips for Conquest success. Master the minimap. Constantly check the minimap to track enemy positions, jungle camps, and objectives. Communicate. Use your voice chat or VGS system to coordinate with your enemy team. Simple commands like attack the Fire Giant or enemy missing can turn the tide of a match. Farm efficiently. Prioritize gaining golden experience by clearing waves and camps. Falling behind in farm can make it very difficult to stay relevant. And finally, focus on objectives. While kills are satisfying, objectives win games. Always prioritize towers, phoenixes, and key jungle objectives such as the Fire Giant or the Gold Fury. Now this is just the surface of what Conquest has to offer. There's so much more depth to explore, from role-specific strategies to advanced team compositions. Stay tuned for my upcoming guides where I'll dive deeper into each role and their optimal playstyles. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments, or as I've mentioned a million times before, join my Discord for direct help. Now let's move on to the next part of the guide. Tips and tricks. Now my first build is auto level and auto build. Like I mentioned at the very start of the video, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Smite 2 is a complicated game. There are hundreds of things to learn, and trying to master everything at once isn't realistic or beneficial. Your first priority should be learning the basics of the game, understanding the map, roles, game flow, and core mechanics. Learning how to build and master every character's kit is simply too much to tackle in the beginning. Thankfully, Smite 2 has auto build and auto level feature. Auto level will automatically assign points to the correct abilities on your character, so you don't have to make those decisions during every match. Additionally, picking a pre-made build at the start of your game ensures that you won't have to worry about the most complex part of Smite 2 early on, itemization. Once you've gained some experience, you can turn off auto level and start experimenting with custom builds tailored to your playstyle. My second tip is to focus on one character at a time. This is one of the most important tips I can give you. It goes hand in hand with the previous tip. With so much to learn, trying to master every character at once will only overwhelm you. Pick one character that you like and stick with them for several games. Once you feel confident with their ability and playstyles, move on to another character. My next tip is sticking to one role at a time. Just as learning all the characters at once is overwhelming, so is learning all 5 Conquest roles. Start by focusing on one role and truly mastering it. Choose a role that interests you and make it your goal to learn at least 3 characters who work well in that role. This way, you'll not only master the role, but also develop a solid pool of gods to pick from. Slowly but surely, you'll become a Smite demon. My next tip is pay attention to your minimap. The number one mistake I see in new players is not paying attention to their minimap. The minimap is the single most important tool in your arsenal. It provides a wealth of information at a glance, including the position of your teammates, available farm on the map, and most critically, the position of your enemies. Use this information to gain more XP and gold, position yourself correctly with your team, and avoid getting caught out by enemies rotating towards you. My next tip is communication is key. Smite 2 is a team game. Rarely will one player win a match entirely on their own. It's a collective team effort. Smite offers voice chat, and I highly recommend using it. Voice chat allows you and your team to communicate attack plans, strategies, and enemy movements. If you're not comfortable using voice chat, the game also has a VGS system. By pressing a combination of keys that start with V, you can quickly relay information, callouts, and objectives to your teams. For example, VEF will say enemy missing, or VA2 will say attack middle lane. While basic, these callouts are incredibly effective. My next tip is don't be afraid to mute. This tip might seem contradictory to the last one, but it's just as important. Like any multiplayer game, Smite 2 has its fair share of toxic players. If someone is being abusive in voice chat, text chat, or through the VGS system, do not hesitate to mute them. Toxicity will only serve to detract from the game and your enjoyment. Be sure to report toxic players as well. Our community is better off without them. If you're looking for non-toxic friends to play Smite with, our Discord server is the perfect place. You'll find experienced players who can help you learn the game faster, and newer players who want to improve alongside you. Plus, any questions you may have can be answered there. So click the link down in the description to join our growing community. Final tip, and probably the most important one, have fun. Learning Smite is a journey and it takes time. It won't always be easy. You're going to die and you're going to lose. Everybody does. Even experienced players. Don't let it discourage you. Remember, every great player was new at one time, and even veterans still have bad games. Trust me, I've fed plenty in my 8,000 hours playing. Enjoy the process, embrace the challenge, and know that with practice you'll improve. You can and will become one of the best. And with that, we've reached the end of this guide. I know we've covered a lot, but mastering Smite 2 is all about learning step by step. And I hope this guide has helped you take those first few steps towards success. I want to give a huge thank you to everybody that stuck around until the very end of this video. This guide took countless hours and more than a few sleepless nights to create, but it was absolutely worth it to provide the information I wish I had when I first started playing Smite. Even though this video was extensive, there's still so much more to learn about Smite 2, from in-depth character guides and role breakdowns to advanced builds and strategies. I'll be covering all of this and more in upcoming videos, so make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on my next guide. If you found this guide helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you dropped a like and left a comment. Also, consider sharing this with a friend who might need some Smite tips. This would also mean the world to me. As always, my Discord server is linked down in the description, a great place to chat with me directly, ask questions, or find friendly, non-toxic groups to play Smite with. And don't forget to follow me on Twitch if you'd like to watch me play Smite live. I'd love to see you there. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you. Bye!